Welcome to the Fall 2020 Ladies Big Book Study Recording Series. My name is Kimberly and I am a recovered alcoholic. I am the facilitator of a tri-weekly Big Book Study for ladies only, and we record each session so we can share the knowledge along with you. What we do is we read the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous line by line. We pause on each page and have discussion time to share our experience, our strength, and our hope on each page. You are more than welcome to follow along in this series and do the work of the steps of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. If you do need support at any time, please reach out to me in the Contact Us area of my YouTube channel, and we're happy to provide you with support. The online recordings are open to men and women. Do not be discouraged, gentlemen. Our ladies' point of view may offer you a different perspective. So welcome. I hope you enjoy. All right, ladies, we are continuing on in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We are mid-step 4. Do not panic. It gets amazing from here. And we are on page 66. We turned back to the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoings of others, fancied or real, had the power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done." We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. This is huge. 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 So what happens to all of us is to see how others hurt us and how we've been hurt was as far as we got. So what we are going to do is we are going to start to see this from an entirely different angle, starting with me, going to the other person. But before I do that, the biggest key is to realize that these people are sick and their symptoms were what we didn't like. But most of us are victims. This is a pool of victims here, and what we do is, this person hurt me, they did this to me, they did that to me, and that's as far as we ever got. The biggest key to mastering your resentments is realizing that these are sick people. The things they did to you are their symptoms. How do you know they're sick? Normal people don't lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, gossip. That's how I know they're sick. They've got glaring symptoms. Big fleshy wounds on their face. gossip, cheating, lying, backstabbing, you name it. It's a symptom of their sickness. Well people do not do these things. Sick people, symptoms. So what do? Love and tolerance is our code. We pray for them. We do not retaliate or argue. We're going to find that part over in the fourth column. That's what we normally do. And then what happens? We get even more injured, right? Because we fire back, they fire back, our sickness, our symptoms are clashing, and God, are we unhappy. So the number one thing we need to do when dealing with our resentments is realizing the other person is sick too. I've done this process. I have handled my past. I've corrected my amends that needed to be amended. And I'm trying to live my life on the right side of the street and keeping my grass nice and watered with prayer and meditation. And my symptoms are not affecting other people. I'm also not bringing sick and toxic people into my world. They repel from me like a flame and a moth, whatever that saying is. Sick people don't like to be around me. So I don't typically invite these people into my life anymore. So their symptoms don't typically affect me. And when someone in this column enters my sphere, because it happens, that's life. There's Facebook, there's meetings, there's people that may not like you for what you have, which is a reflection of what? Them. But their symptoms no longer affect me because I'm over here on my grassy knoll with love and tolerance, and I understand that they are sick people. You're like, Kim, how can you deal with all the haters? Really easily. I understand they're sick people. How am I helpful? I don't retaliate. I don't argue. Why? Because that sick person might want to get well. They might want what I have. Me firing back at them is going to make me less useful to God. The best thing I can do is keep dancing, keep having a great life, not retaliate. Because they're going to go, why didn't she come at me? Because I have love and tolerance. You're sick. Would you like what I have? There's plenty of room on the grassy knoll. Come on over. But it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of meditation. It takes some pausing, which I'm perfect. I did not pause this morning. But that's okay. I have other tools in my toolbox for moments when I don't pause so that I can go and repair that little divot in the grass that I made by not pausing. Progress, not perfection. All right. Anybody want to talk on sick people? The first step to mastering our resentments. These are sick people, and we don't like how their symptoms affect us, but we do not retaliate or argue. Anyone?
Hi.
Hi, Vanessa.
I had something kind of like this happen to me recently, and it was a long time ago, high school stuff. And this sick person I found out is saying absurd, really bad things about me. My instinct was to reach out, say something, but I held back mainly because I'm back in the program. But even me last month, in September when I had relapsed, would have retaliated. And I'm so happy that with being back in the program that I was like, no, he's sick too. And we need to protect ourselves, especially like me as a single woman now too. It doesn't get us anywhere, right? So then I just paused. And I really think that I would have retaliated had I not been back in this group. So that's a huge way to keep us safe as women, especially, right? And but I'm looking for like guidance of how to deal with that, but I'm really trying to let it go. So he got added to my list. And it was somebody I haven't seen in 17 years, but he's on the list and, working through that in a healthy way now, right? So I hope I'm doing the right thing. Like, I think I am.
Absolutely. Doing nothing is the best thing you can do with sick people that enter your sphere. I never argue or retaliate. You can say bad things about me till you're blue in the face. I will not retaliate or argue. Why? Because God's got my back. I know my truth, and I'm keeping my side of the street clean. If I have all those three things, I don't care. I don't care. The people in my sphere, they know who I am. Sick people like sick people. You can go splash in the mud all you want. I'm not getting in the mud with you. My shoes are white. I don't want to get them dirty. And I know how hard it is to clean up the mud when I start trekking it around. And the best way I can be useful is by doing nothing. No need to retaliate or argue. Me and my creator, we're good. We're good. Those people, they spin their wheels in the mud and they waste their energy and it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't. And if it does go to someone, it goes to another sick and toxic person. And do I worry about that either? No. Water takes its easiest course. And I'm not getting in that mud puddle. You cannot get me in that mud puddle. I'm not joining you. And it's just knowing your truth and being good. And if 3 people are gossiping about you, good opportunity to pause and look and do a quick little inventory of yourself and say, okay, am I doing something? Am I the common denominator? Or am I being loud in my recovery and I'm being healthy and that affects that part of those people? But it's always good to do that little bit of reflection because maybe there is a crack somewhere. Maybe you did step on a toe and they're retaliating. And if you look and you go, no, I haven't stepped on anyone's toes, they're not retaliating, they're sick, their symptoms are showing, and move on with my day. Yeah. Joanne, good morning. Afternoon.
Good morning. I'm Joanna. I'm an alcoholic addict and grateful to be here. And dealing with people is complicated. And I think that you provided more enlightenment in what you just said. I think that I'm working with someone doing their 4-step and they just want to focus on how sick the other person is. And I'm like, yeah, but we got to clean us up first. And that was really hard to express that. Because at least I know on my list, I grew up in a house where there was sickness. No one got out free from that. But I have to see my part first. And I have to go through, for me, I have to go through doing my step work, also developing a sense with my sponsor and other people, care, compassion, forgiveness, so that I can identify those feelings, so that I can share. It was easy to feel victimized and put my mother up on this pedestal of blame. But then it was only later in life that I found out that she had an alcoholic mother, So they all have their stories, but sometimes I have to be very careful not to get too much into their story before I finish my story. And sometimes also there are people on the list that are healthy people that I've had to make amends because I made them crazy. They were sane until they entered a relationship with me, and then I made them crazy. I helped them qualify for Al-Anon. And then there were people, that it doesn't matter whether, like the police, doesn't matter if they're crazy or not. They just who they are. So I think there's lots of different people. But the art of practicing compassion, forgiveness, and all of those wonderful words helps me in learning how to know how to express them, how to feel them, how to accept them, so that I can apply that to my own life. And the more I do that, the more I can do it with others. And that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, exactly that same experience Joanne is describing. A lot of people get stuck in the column 1 and column 2, the symptoms and the people that have harmed them. And like we've said a million times, it's not a victim statement. We've got to get past that column 1 and column 2 and shift that. And this is the first way to shift it, is to go, these people are sick and I don't like how their symptoms are affecting me. So what can I do about it? And we've got to make that bridge onto that other side where we're looking from another angle. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. If you're stuck in column 1 and 2 and how all of these people have wronged you and done you wrong and hurt you with their symptoms, we're going to be repeating this process again. And that's just the how and the why of it. If you cannot shift to seeing it from the other angle, you're going to repeat the process until you do. All right. So there was a quick question in the chat.
Hi, Kimberly.
Oh, hi, Evelyn.
Hi, I can't raise my hand for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh,
But
weird.
anyway, thank you for sharing. Actually, I'm right where you are with the reacting and not liking how other people's, behavior affects me. And I tell you, it's very hard not to react. But I've been working on it and been working on it. And the more I work on it, the better I get at it. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this meeting here, because I'm telling you, I've learned a lot from just coming, line by line. And, it just opens up my mind. I keep open mind because I know I'm still teachable, and I'm just so grateful to be here. And thanks for allowing me to share that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm a big proponent of visualization. And I love the visualization of my grass, right? Because I'm trying to keep my side of the fence clean. So I've got my beautiful white AA fence up, and I've got my beautiful lawn. Like, just imagine that beautiful green, lush, perfectly manicured lawn. And some guy is throwing his dog shit on my lawn. Right? And he keeps throwing this dog shit over my fence. So what do? I take my golf putter and I fling it back. But when I do that, I create a big divot. So now I got a big brownie hole in my lawn because I just threw his shit back with part of my lawn. So if I'm repeatedly doing that, what's my lawn gonna look like? My fence is gonna have shit splattered all on it. And my lawn's gonna have big brown holes in it from me divoting to put that stuff back. Right? But, what I can do is I can just pick it up, put it in a bag, throw it away, and I just, my lawn looks fine. It's a little bit of fertilizer. Great, thanks for fertilizing my yard with your shit. I don't have to make big divots throwing it back over, because all that does is splatter shit everywhere. So I'm just here to keep my side of the grass clean, keep my side of the fence clean, and you know what? It works. Just keep fertilizing my grass with your dog shit. Lee.
Hi, I'm Lee and I'm an alcoholic. Do I have to unmute? Oh, there we are. I'm green. I think one of my examples of sort of that process is that I am very uncomfortable when people start gossiping. And sometimes I will sit and I will listen to it or whatever, and I am so uncomfortable with it. Often I will retaliate, as one would say. I get in and I big bolster about why this is such a bad thing. And what I started to do, I think, by listening to what we were talking about in the line by line and studying the big book, is that I stopped thinking of them as, well, first of all, I should say what I think my fear is that if they're talking about everybody else, they're talking about me too. And that was my fear. It's like, I don't know what you're saying about me. But so I cast that one off and said, I'm going to look right now and see what is good about these people. Why are you putting yourself in this position if they're so terrible? Well, they're not terrible. There's like 80% of them is tremendously wonderful, fun, loving, happy, giving, funny people, and I like that. I like that a lot. Because I'm uncomfortable with one thing that they do as a group, I don't need to have to be part of that. So my action in this was actually to back off. So when I hear it start happening, I have to stop and I just say, I think I'm going to go take a walk now. So we're meeting outside, we're hanging out together. It gets into this area. I enjoy the other conversations that are going on. So my thing about how it moved for me was I stopped thinking of them as bad and terrible, and I started to think of what is good about them. There's so many good things about those people. So that's what I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Linda?
Oh, good morning, everyone. So, a couple of things. In doing the cause, I put down, like in a general way, I've been told that I need to put all the specifics down. But what I'm seeing is a real pattern of my own character defects. Like what I happen to be putting down in that second column, I'm recognizing is really what I do. I do all of those things. Like, when I say, oh, he snaps at me or talks down to me, disrespects me, disregards me, what I'm seeing is, oh my God, you know what? I do that a lot. I'm complaining about not being called on the telephone. Well, I don't pick up the phone. Like, that's what's being revealed to me anyway, already, just in columns 1 and 2.
Absolutely. And like a wise Facebook meme once said, if you're so comfortable with gossiping, why are you comfortable telling me the gossip? A lot of people don't call me with that kind of stuff anymore because it doesn't go well. I refer them to the book, or I ask them questions that turns it around on them, and they stop. When people call me now, it's usually because they've been the victim of gossip or because they're in a situation they need advice with. Now, there is a big difference, and a lot of people get stuck on this with gossip, is they're like, well, you're talking about somebody. If I'm talking one-on-one with a sponsee or with my support girls, I call them my stepsisters, that's not gossip. That's getting advice. If I'm running around and talking to other people outside of my tight circle, that's gossip. Otherwise, we'd never talk about anybody, and we'd be holding all our stuff up again. You know what I mean? And if I'm talking to my step 10 buddy or a few of my stepsisters, which that's a 6 people tight circle who I know are closed lip friends. This isn't me talking to my acquaintances about someone. And so people are like, well, that's gossip. I'm like, no. Me talking to a very close group of my support is not gossip. And I'm not directing it at you, Linda. I'm just using that as an example for the group. But if I was to go and be running around to people who were loosely acquainted to myself, that's gossip. And now I like what Linda brought up there about why I do this in point form.
Yes.
Why I ask you to write out column 2 in point form. It's easy to recognize it as a symptom if it's in point form. If you're writing a detailed paragraph about what person in column 1 has done to you, that detailed paragraph is a victim impact statement. But if I write in point form, that person, ex-boyfriend number 1, lied, cheated, stole, gossiped, manipulated, those are more easy to pinpoint as a symptom of his sickness. If I do a long paragraph, he went and did this and this, and he did this, and then he did this and this and this and this, it's more of a paragraph of his behavior than it is a symptom of his sickness. So
that's why we do it?
That's why we do it. It's easier for your brain, right? Because otherwise you're opening up that wound and you're writing a victim statement. Sentences and sentences of what this person's done to you, has emotional attachment to it. But if I'm doing point form, why am I angry at person in column 1? Ex-boyfriend. What did he do? Cheated, lied, manipulated, stole, gaslighted. You name the list of things that he's done. Those are symptoms of his sickness. Cheaters, sickness. Gossip, sickness. Lying, sickness. It's easier to shift the thinking.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anne-Marie.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie. I'm an alcoholic. The way I dislike gossip as well. I'm extremely uncomfortable with it myself. And when people start gossiping around me, I try to say about the person they're talking about, but isn't she a generous soul? Isn't she always there when someone needs her? You know, I remember once I was outside a hospital having a cigarette, and these two nurses came out, and they were talking about a patient, a psych patient who had been brought in. She had killed her child by leaving it newborn, by leaving it exposed to the elements. And they were saying all these horrible things about her, what a bitch and what it is. And I looked at them and I said, maybe she is all those things, but she has to live the rest of her life knowing that she killed her own child. I think that's punishment enough. And that kind of put an end to the gossip. You know, I always try to find something positive to say. And then I walk away because I won't listen to it either. It drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. Thanks.
Oh, I got even more questions. You say, what part of you is that affecting? And they go, huh? I'm like, what fears does that bring up in you? And they're like, huh? I'm like, is it any of your business? That usually shuts down the gossip real quick. People tend not to call me for gossip when I use those three questions. What part of you is that affecting, right? Because usually it's, oh, well, you know, so-and-so, they did this and this and this and this and this. I'm like, really? What part of you is that affecting? Because it's hitting something in you that you're reacting this way. And then always, what's the fear that's bringing up in you? Ooh, like, then it's none of your business. All right. There's always a fear attached to gossip. Always. Don't let it ever stray you the wrong way. All right. So we avoid retaliation. I'm referring to our list again. Okay, here we go. Putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done. Highlight and underline that. Putting out of our minds the wrongs others have done. We resolutely looked for our own mistakes. Column 4, our mistakes. It's page 67, third paragraph. Referring to our list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done, we resolutely looked for our mistakes. So column 4 is our mistakes. And we are going to split it into 2 parts, and you will see why. Though a situation, where had we been frightened, dishonest, self-seeking, I did it backwards, selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Underline and highlight that because it's just told us twice to stop thinking about the person. Guess what 99% of people don't do? The inventory was ours, not the other man. They just told you that 3 times. Not about them. Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's. When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly and were willing to set the matter straight. Huge, big turning point here. We stop thinking about the person and what they did to us, and we are just focusing on us. It does not say what is my part. Why? Why does it not say that? Because if you are looking for your part, you're still giving them their part. It looks for our mistakes, my fault, my blame. Me, my inventory. We need to stop looking at the other person. It tells us that 3 times. And then 3 times it focuses is on us. My mistake, my fault, my blame. Not my part, because my part still ties their part. They are gone. We aren't talking about them anymore. We're talking about us. That is a huge step. Huge. We are looking at this from another angle. We need to stop looking at them. Okay, and it gives us 4 choices. Selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. Now, if you look how I have this written, it's a 2-part. Action, fault, blame, wrong. 2-part. You can do whichever part is easiest for you first. 1 is the fault, blame, wrong. Was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? Or all of the above? That's 1 part. The other part is the action. What do I do when I'm selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? In this case, this is the boyfriend. I am selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. How does that show up? I lied, I stole, I yelled, I withheld affection, I paint red flags green, I ignore red flags, I stay too long. That's what it shows up as. I think it's really important to look at both of those things. Where was I selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, and frightened? And how does that show up for me? And it all will tie together very soon. All right, so what is selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, and frightened? Well, let's find my sheet. All right. Selfish shows up as self-righteous, I am better than. Self-pity, I am less than. Self-reliance, how am I running the show? Self-centered, why I want it to go my way. That's all selfish. Self-seeking is how I make my way happen. Dishonest is...
Could you say those again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So selfish shows up as self-righteous, I'm better than. Self-pity, I'm lesser than. Self-reliance, how I am running the show. Self-centered, why I want it to go my way. Self-seeking, because this is where selfish and self-seeking people don't understand. They think it's the same. Self-seeking is how I make my way happen. Because you can be selfish and not self-seeking. I can think I'm better than you, and that's just it. I don't do anything about it. I can be self-centered and be like, well, I want it this way, but I don't do anything to make it happen. Once I do something to make my way happen, then I'm self-seeking. So I want a hot boyfriend. Self-seeking is going to the gym or manipulating with hockey tickets to get them to go on a date with you. That's self-seeking. Done it. That's how I have these examples. Dishonest, flat out lying, not telling the whole truth, lying by omission, and my personal favorite, delusion, convincing myself things that aren't real. Good old delusion. All right. Afraid, which is frightened. That is afraid of either not getting what you want or losing what you have. So if I have a hot boyfriend, I might be manipulating to keep him because I'm afraid he's going to leave me. Why? Because I have that fear of not being good enough, right? For examples, never being satisfied. I'm not going to ever have enough money. I'm going to lose all the money I have. I'm going to lose the boyfriend. I'm going to lose the stability. All right, so that's 4. Should we just do 4 and move on to fear next time? Yes. Okay. And these are up, and I can send them if you're not in the Facebook group. And if anybody hasn't been added to the Facebook group, I will do it while we discuss. And hands up. Questions, comments? MJ. I was going to call you Mary Jane. Oopsie.
Yeah, my name is Mary June, actually,
Mary
but
June.
I put MJ. It's okay. I'm an alcoholic. So when I started doing step 4s, and like that whole thing about you mentioning my part, like that's all I heard. I heard that. But if you look at the book, there's no place where it says my part. And that just like stunned me today because I've got it written in here, my part. And yeah, it's just illuminating. And like when you talk about, so really what we're looking for is our mistakes, our fault, where we are to blame.
Yep.
And so when I first did this, I remember people trying to explain it to me, and I couldn't understand it. Like I was still in that, I still had my victim story going on, right? And that's taking me, anyways. I really like that you said that. I'm going to cross that out in my big book because it's not in my big book. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks. Yeah, I was of the same mentality for the first portion of my recovery. What's your part? What's your part? What's your part? It's hammered into you. Oh no, what is my mistake? Where is my fault? Where am I to blame? It's just shifting words, but it makes a big difference. If I have a part, I'm still giving you part. And I'm still bringing you into this equation. And I'm trying to leave you alone. It tells me 3 times in that paragraph to leave you out of this and to focus on me. And everybody, up until I started doing it this way with myself, told me otherwise. What's your part? What's your part? What's your part? What's your part? I'm like, oh, that's still giving them a part. So we want to shift that. Alrighty. Another one someone told me to shift is just outside of AA, but it's stop using but and use and. Switching that one word. Vanessa.
So with being on the 4, the action is what we did, right?
Yes. So if I'm being selfish, how do I normally act? If like manipulating, if I'm self-seeking, how do I act? How does it show up?
Okay, and then with the fault, blame, wrongs, that is the result of what.
Well, the fault, blame, and wrong is like ideally the action should be in the first column and the fault, blame, wrong should be in the second, just for the way we're gonna read it. Because we start for fear. So I'll just read it so you guys know how it's going to play out. Hang on, Bedella, can you post the Facebook and the YouTube again? I was trying to copy paste it, but thank you.
Is there a page like that's written out where you can put those 2 things?
I make this myself.
Available?
I should probably do an Excel.
Yeah, so we can have a copy.
Yeah, but these are available. So what it looks like when I read it, it says, my fear of abandonment causes me to act selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. When I'm afraid of abandonment, how does it look? Well, I lie, I manipulate, I paint red flags green, I ignore red flags, and I stay too long. That hurts my self-esteem, security, ambitions, personal, and sex relations. I can no longer tie it to them. I take full ownership. There is no way to connect column 3 to column 2 anymore. So my fear of rejection causes me to be selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. When I am selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened, I lie, cheat, manipulate, ignore red flags, stay too long, which hurts my self-esteem, security, ambitions, personal and sex relations. So this harm is now caused by me. I can't make the leap to column 2. I can't go, well, it's his fault. There's no way I can connect column 3 to column 2 when I read it that way.
Mm. That's a good thing, though.
Yeah. But you know how I can connect it? When I've damaged my self-esteem, I choose people who lie, cheat, steal.
Oh, interesting.
Otherwise, I can't connect it. It doesn't work.
Cool.
Does that help, Vanessa? Perfect. Joanne? My nose is itchy. You're muted.
Okay. No. I did it.
You did
Okay.
it.
I'm always looking for 2 different mutes. So, anyways, I just wanted to say my experience in doing this, to go and get a really long spiral binder. So you really see it, and it's spaced and it's not crammed together and everything. And I just wanted to make a comment about the part. Why we have to drop the part, because we're trying to find our whole. We're trying to become whole. And in trying to become whole, we've got to get to the exact nature of what we do, why we do it, and that way we can just start feeling the freedom of standing on our own 2 feet and become women of dignity and honor. It's just becoming whole. So, you know, those names, I have lots of names. They change, but the things that didn't change for a long time until I got sober was the shortcomings, the character defects, and how I, in my own way, came up with some survival techniques that I thought worked, but eventually all hurt me. So I am grateful for this process, and it's really wonderful to do the work and start to feel whole. And now that's all I wanted to share. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I love that. We haven't used the dignity and honor enough this go round. We used it a lot in the first round. I really like that. And it makes it really easy to see like what Joanne said, how I hurt myself, how these things hurt me, you know, and we stop pointing that finger at all these people who hurt us, and we realize how our actions and how our fears have brought these events into our lives, and that's where that change happens, and it's absolutely amazing. Any other questions, comments, concerns, clarification?
Susie, alcoholic.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, I just want to say, you know, I'm 13 years sober, but boy, am I really opening my eyes to a lot of things. There's a lot of things I have not looked at things this way. And thank you so very much, because it's clarified a lot. And, you know, there's just so much that you have said in this today that is exactly what I need to hear. This is almost like a God shot, but just thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it was shown to me and it blew my mind, and I absolutely love sharing it. And the more I read it, like the more it comes alive, and it's just like, it's so cool. Bonnie.
Hi. She stole my line, because what I was going to say was, you know, I thought I'd done all of the 12 steps, and I knew that this fourth step had absolutely no impact on me whatsoever. I didn't understand what the whole thing was about the fourth step because it made no impact on me whatsoever. But one of the gals who's also on this site said, okay, you got to go in and do Kim's fourth step. And thank you, Colleen. Anyways, the difference it's made is night and day. It's night and day. Yeah, and I would absolutely do it this way with the sponsee. So I just want to thank you so much because I'm learning so much, and it's been a lot of years, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And it's not my way, it's in the book. I just read the book. It's not my way at all. Linda.
Okay. So I was sharing today that, I'm really coming alive. I'm seeing and hearing things I've never seen before. And they said, well, that's because you weren't listening. And I thought, oh my God, wow, okay, whatever. But let's get back to this. This paper, to me, I need a better understanding of what I need to be writing, and to widen the columns or whatever, like you're saying. So, are you able to provide us with a sheet that will let us do that?
Sure, I'll add it to my afternoon to-do list, and then I'll send it to Della to do her magic to put it on Facebook. Della, I'm bringing you into this. Yeah, no, I can do an Excel spreadsheet that you guys can print out and make it look pretty and just fill in the blanks. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, I've never had the willingness that I have today since being a part of these big book studies.
Yeah.
And I feel so blessed and gifted by your contribution. It's just been so inspiring to me.
Well, and
I
it's
feel like
not.
I have a whole life to live, and I'm very
and it's not that you don't listen. It's just someone didn't catch your attention, and someone didn't properly transmit it, and that's okay. Everybody, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Like, I'm not. Some people can't stand me, and that's okay, right? This is what worked for me, and I love it, and I just love sharing it, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jenny D. In the Winter Wonderland. Oh, your pictures from this weekend, let me tell you.
In the Winter Wonderland.
Gorgeous.
Okay, I'm Jenny. I'm alcoholic. First of all, MJ in Edmonton. This is my second time through this big book study. And I have in my book from a number of years ago, right beside this paragraph, which I think is one of the most important paragraphs in the whole book, talking about the steps. It says, the fourth column, what did I do? This is, and then in giant letters, my part in this. And then underneath, there's a little arrow, and it says, rethunk through line by line 2020. That was my first time through that. And I have shown people this, and like, it is, everything changes. I've done a fourth step with somebody doing it this way, and I've showed somebody else to do it this way, and it's like, wow. Then the other thing, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at us, and there's how many of us? 66 people here, all over North America. Almost all of us have gone through this book. Almost all of us have gone through big book studies. Almost all of us have gone through these steps. Almost all of us are going, oh my God, look at this. Like we've never seen it before, which is kind of sad. Because I remember my first fourth step was a booklet this thick that somebody had given me from a treatment center with about 200 questions in it. And I walked away from it. I wasn't in treatment. Someone was trying to help me and said, this book will really help you do a fourth step. And I walked away from that fourth step. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote pages and pages and pages from the time I was 2 years old practically. And when I finished it, I didn't know a whole lot about what was really wrong with me and why I did the things I did. And I didn't connect fear to it. I just knew all the bad things that had happened to me, how mad I was, and I let it go. No, I didn't. Like, this has been magic for me. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I kind of got known as being the bottom of the heap sponsor. Like for everyone who failed every other way, I was the last resort sponsor. And I don't know, y'all are kind of making me like the one to want. It's crazy, but I almost want to say like you have to have done it wrong a bunch of times before you get it right with me. I don't know why. I have one girl and she's never done anything, and I was just like, to see the light come on, and she's never had a poor experience in the book. Not to say that one is better than the other, just a lack of wording. Like, it's just incredible. She's just like got this chance. Like Della's never done this any other way, so it's all she knows. It's like, it's so cool. Beverly. And I think I saw a message from you when I logged in on my messenger online, but my messenger on my phone didn't show it to me.
No problem.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Kim. Hey, I'm 12 years sober, and this is just completely illuminating for me, too. I've never done the steps this way. I'm especially intrigued with the way that you go backwards, you know, from number 5. And I just want to make sure I wrote this down correctly. And in 4A, I show up and I react to other people in certain ways. So I understand that. And when I act that way in 4A, it affects my self-esteem and ambition, etc. in column 3. What happens between column 3 and column 2 when you go backwards?
Oh, so if I go this way, so I'm going, my fears cause me to act selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. And how that shows up for me is lying, cheating, painting red flags green, blah, 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 blah. And that affects my self-esteem, my security, my ambition, my personal and sex relations. I can't make a jump to column 2.
You mean column 2 just...
I can't tie my injuries to why I was angry anymore. The only connection I can make is that my actions, which have affected my self-esteem, my security, my relations, causes me to choose the people in step 1 and bring them in my life.
Okay.
Because my self-esteem is in the basement, so I'm going to pick this loser over here.
Exactly. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so that's the only... there's no other way I can connect 3 to 2. Whereas when I started this problem, or this process, it was all, these things did this to me. And now I have no way of making that their fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I own it. I own it all. Which sucks.
I hate to ask, can you do that one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it again next time too, and probably the time after that. So my fears. So I always use the ex-boyfriend because it's the common one most of us can relate to. My fears of abandonment, rejection, not being loved, being alone, and judgment cause me to be selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened. When I am selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and frightened, I lie, I cheat, I manipulate, I paint red flags green, I ignore red flags, and I stay too long. These things hurt my self-esteem, my security, my ambition, my personal and sex relations. And that's as far as you can go on it. But if you want to look at how these people get in your life, it's because you've hurt your self-esteem, your ambitions, right? I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm worthless. I'm a nobody. I suck. I don't deserve that perfect person. So I pick this fucking loser. And what does he do? He cheats on me. He lies to me. And what does that do? It hurts me even more. Guess who did it? Me.
Thank you. That's just so amazing. It's just so incredible.
It's pretty neat.
Like world altering.
Pretty neat. Thanks. Sharon. Oh, you gotta unmute. I think I hit it at the same time as you.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Sharon. I'm an alcoholic, and I reverberate what everybody else is saying. And I had to fight my way through the steps. I had sponsors, a month on step 1 or 2 months on step 1, and the step 4, same thing. I have one that she made me write 2 pages on every single one. And I got lost in the minutia. Then the next one had me order these forms online. And so I finally, so I've had very many. And then you talk about the gossip. One sponsor, I had to give up because of I was learning too much, of information that I didn't want to know. And so I don't not stumbled through, but I really fought my way through. Finally finished my 4, and my sponsor got a job and said she didn't have time for me. So I immediately picked up another sponsor, didn't lose a beat. But so here I am on the other side, and now everything's flipped over because some women have asked me to help. And now I'm going through this process. So God is good. I mean, right at the time when I literally just sent your forms. I gave her 24 hours. I said, so I'll give you the whole day Monday. So tomorrow is her day to give me her list. And so I'm just so thankful that the timing is just perfect, and that the women that have asked me to help don't have to go through what I went through. And like you said, everyone here, it's just such a gift. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I fumbled through the steps too, and they didn't make sense before. And now they make more sense. And if you look at it, it ties right into falling into the step 6 and 7, where it's like I became willing to have these things removed, where before I wasn't willing because I thought they protected me. I was like, all of these things protect me from being hurt. And now I easily see how these things are causing me to be hurt, so I'm more willing to have them removed in step 6 and 7, right? It just flows. And then I'm not so angry at these people anymore, that I'm even more willing to make my amends for anything I've done. And it just kind of flows a little softer, and it makes it just that much more easy to be willing. Marianne Toronto, unmute.
Hi, friends. I am an alcoholic from Toronto. My name's Marianne. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be sober. And I have to thank you too, Kim, because by doing this, and as you just said, I'm able to live with people that I can't get away with, from in-laws, basically, because I know this now. And I only knew this about myself by doing this process. And as you said, 6 and 7. Because sometimes we can't just get away. We have to learn how to live with these people, and it's not easy. So my question, though, and I guess we'll get into this next time, with identifying the fear. That sometimes is hard to go, what fear is it that I'm having? So hopefully I'll get better at that.
Oh, absolutely. And I have some built-in mechanisms that I recommend for 6 and 7, that once we do this process and we look for our fears, the way we do our 6 and 7 can reiterate what those fears are. So as we're doing our 10s, we're more conscious of what they are. It's a little bit of what I picked up from a mindset coach, where when we pray it away, we really define that 7-step prayer for each specific defect of character and fear. So instead of saying, please remove my defects of character, I pinpoint it. And I say, please remove my fear of judgment. Please remove my fear of not being good enough. Please remove my fear of abandonment. What that does is 2 parts. It tells my brain, subconscious brain, that fear is not of use to me and my fellows. It also memorizes what those fears are. So it's just like the times tables in elementary school, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. The more I repeat it, the quicker it is for repeat, right? Like I don't have to think what's 3 times 3. I know it because I've repeated it and it's in my subconscious brain. If I repeat what my fears are individually in my prayers, I'm telling my subconscious brain that they're not serving me and to remember it. So then when I'm doing my 10, this is just a little bit past this step for those who are maybe going, what the frig is she talking about? So then when I'm doing my 10 and I'm kind of doing those spot checks where I'm like, oh, that's really affecting me. What fear is it affecting? I know what my top 10 are because I've repeated them to myself, asking them to be removed individually. Because I can easily pray, God, could you remove my defects of character? Which ones would you like removed, Kim? I don't know. What are your defects of character? I don't know. Well, I've got a pretty good outline, and if I memorize them, then I can watch for them to crop up more. It's this little built-in little mindset thing that we can do, praying away our fears and our defects individually. We gotta layer this crap because we're layered individuals. I need all the help I can get. Joanne?
So I just want to share, I just got done doing some step work with someone, and I think it's really important to share, especially with newcomers, if you're doing this, before we enter the fourth step. The book says, bring your higher power, bring God into this process. It's really easy to, okay, this is like homework, just get the sheet, get the pencil, but you're talking about your soul. You're talking about you, and suddenly you see things that, like, I was perfect. Yeah, I might have had a drinking problem, but I was perfect. And suddenly you're writing, it's like, holy shit, I'm not perfect. And that's when the Serenity Prayer is really helpful. God, grant me this serenity to accept the things I cannot change. These were things I did, and they were based on fear and all this stuff. The courage to change the things I can. I now know what I know, and on a daily basis I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I don't have to beat myself looking at this list and get myself all in a whole knot and get myself to a point where it's like, I don't want to look at this, let's go drink. So especially if this is the first time you've done it, please be gentle on yourself. Do it, be gentle, and just keep coming where we can love you up, because we're looking at things we did and who we were. And on the 12th step, it says, having had a spiritual awakening. Well, the having had is because we did the work in the fourth. Mm-hmm. And that's where the spiritual awakening is going to start really showing up. Like, holy shit, denial. I did this. I acted this way. I was scared shitless. I sold myself out. All of this stuff. And then I need to go to my home group and just get loved on. Just get loved on. And it balances out. It just balances out. So, I just wanted to say that, we bring God into this, and we stay close to the ladies that will carry us through our own self-awareness of who we are so we can change. That's it.
Thank you so much, Joanne. And I'm just going to add a visualization to that, because we have to remember that these are the things in our four that we need to get past to let in that sunlight of the Spirit. We have been blocked from that God's love. So we are here and we're climbing the wall to get that sunlight. So if we're imagining our beautiful green grass with our beautiful white sobriety fence, we have to remember we have to take down the iron wall we've been behind. Because this is my iron wall, and I've been hiding behind it, and I'm cold and I'm alone and I'm sad and I'm depressed and there's no grass growing and it's dark. And so this is me taking that wall down so the sunlight can come in and warm me up and turn that grass green. And that's really important, because we can ask for God's guidance, but if we've got this big wall in front of us, it's blocking that sunlight into our soul. And so this is where we get to poke those holes in there and let that sunlight come in. And the more warmth we get, the more willing we're to take down that next layer of that wall. And then eventually we're basking in the sunlight of the Spirit, and our grass is beautiful and green, and there's no divots from my golf clubs. Not my utensils.